Hey, good night, everybody. Today is the 15th of June, 2016. Tonight's webinar, I want to talk more about controlling your trading mind. So, right now, what you have on screen is just futures of gold and futures of oil, because I really won't be doing too much chart work until maybe at the end when I'm done, because I don't think it'll be very long. I'm not really like a therapist or a psychologist or anything, but I do feel like controlling your trading mind really should it should be a factor in your trading. It should be a big factor in your trading. The way that you react to different trades, the way that you finish up a trade, your emotions going through the trade, your emotions after the trade, how you control yourself if you have a good trade as compared to a bad trade, how you control yourself if you left money on the table, if you let a loss go too much. All these things obviously should be a factor when you're considering the longevity of your trading career. Obviously, if you're a person that gets really angry and frustrated at every single bad trade that you take or that you enter that's not working right away, if that's the kind of mindset that you're going into the trades with, it's really something that maybe you want to work on and develop changing instead of continuing the way that you're continuing, because a lot of people and myself have gone through this at the earlier stages where when I get into a trade, I feel like it's going to stop me out or I'm going to lose money on it, and obviously, lo and behold, a lot of times it happened, and then I would come back and I'd sit in my chair and I'd go, well, of course that's what I expected to happen anyways, right? So my mindset was already put in my trade strategy down. Maybe I didn't even have a trade strategy to work with, but the mindset was already pushing me down to a point where I was already failing before I even started to trade or before I even saw any kind of gains or anything from the trade. So, tonight's webinar, Controlling Your Trading Mind, should maybe hopefully open up your eyes a little bit, to opening up your mind a little bit to understand how to control your mind so that you can try to control some of your trade experiences. Remember, like, every trade that you take, every trade that you try to open up, long or short, obviously there's got to be a reasoning for getting into that trade. There's got to be a reasoning for staying in that trade, and there's obviously got to be a lot of reasons for if you see it going red, obviously, that there's got to be a bigger reason for you staying into the trade. And so what's going to help you there is obviously a lot of self-control, mind control, and so hopefully we could try to develop that. Sure, I'm not as I said before, I'm not any kind of like a psychiatrist or therapist or anything, but I have been working on this myself. So I feel like as I'm growing in training my mind, because as far as training my charts and my thoughts and my candlesticks, patterns, strategy, all of that stuff, I feel like I have it down pack. Am I great at it? No, I'm average. But have I gotten to a point on those levels that I feel comfortable enough with? Yes. What I don't feel like I'm comfortable enough with is training my mind. So I'm actually doing a lot of reading and a lot of studying about training my mind. So I figure while I'm doing it, maybe I can share some of what I'm learning with you guys. So there are a lot of great people out there with a lot of really cool um, mind management, I would have to say, strategies, books, sessions, these public speaking things. There's a lot of stuff like that that maybe you can look into. And remember, it doesn't have to be just trading stuff, right? It could just be about general control in your mind, and then you can apply certain little tidbits here and there to maybe your trading strategies or the way that you take positions, and then you can see that that they do have a lot of similarities. So in like for me, there's a few things that really stand out. Like I just jotted down some notes here. They're really in no sort of order or anything, but I think there are some good pointers in here that maybe it'll help, and it surely has helped me. It's some of the things that have like stood out to me while I've been reading and watching videos and watching different people on these motivational things and whatnot. I feel like it's just something that I want to share with you guys. So, a couple of first things. You need to tell your mind what you want. Now, this is really good. Some of it may be a stretch, okay? Some of you guys are probably gonna go, "Wow, I thought this was a freaking trading webinar, right?" But maybe it'll come together at the end. But as I said, it's something that I'm going through, it's something that I'm learning, and maybe I can, at the early stages of it, I can maybe bring you into that realm if you want, So for me. You gotta tell your mind what you really want. When you start trading, when you get up in the morning, when you start your system up, you open up your platform, you have to tell your mind what you really want. And remember, some of these things, actually, most of these things has nothing to do with trading, but I've incorporated them into trading. So remember, you guys can ask any questions. Nobody here that sees your questions or anything. So if you even have a comment, you want to say it's a stupid topic or something, you're more than welcome to. So you got to tell your mind what you want. So in the morning when you get up and you open up your platform, you really got to just say to yourself, this is what I'm doing. This is my job. This is what I need to do. This is how I pay my bills. This is how I send my kids to school. This is not a game. It's something that you got to take serious. And I've said this 1,000 times about the tangibility of having like a physical $100 bill or something on your desk, because sometimes when you take a trade and you see just a little bit of money, you feel like it's not real money because it's not in the thousands. Especially if you're accustomed to seeing those types of numbers, you are saying to yourself, well, that's not real money. So the having that tangible $100 bill really just like in front of you really kind of brings it to reality a little bit. Um, so you gotta tell your mind what you want. You gotta make sure that your mind understands what its purpose is here to do. It's gotta be a it's gotta be something that you can program. I'm talking about your mind. It's gotta be something that you can program to say, this is my job. This is what I do for a living. So, I know it's gonna sound a little weird, but don't worry, it'll kind of catch up. You gotta link trading to being pleasurable. It's got to be something enjoyable. It's got to be something that fascinates you. It's got to be something that excites you. Trading is it. Everybody's when people say that when as you get better in trading, it should become boring, and I support that to a point. Honestly, I don't support that all the way. I don't feel like it should be boring. I feel like it still should excite you. When you make money, it still should excite you. It should give you that pleasure feeling. What's the reason for you trading? Obviously to make money, but it also provides some sort of like a reaction, a good reaction, an excitement reaction. And obviously when you lose, there's an adverse effect to that, obviously, where it gives you an association to pain, which is basically losing, right? So you're gonna have a good trade which is linked to pleasure, and you're gonna have a bad trade which is linked to pain. So now you're gonna have to try in your mind to overcome, or try to link both of those sort of in a neutral zone, where when you see a red trade, it's not just you're not extreme angry or extreme um, dislike towards that particular stock, or dislike towards that particular company, or whoever told you to maybe this is a good setup or a nice trade here. Um, you have to link the pleasure of making a good trade and the pain of having a bad trade in a neutral zone where you don't get carried away. You don't want to get so excited where you basically, I mean, like, I don't want to, there's too far I can take that. You don't want to get too excited where where you get carried away in your trade, but you don't want to have too much pain either where it carries distrust in yourself, in your strategy, and it breaks you down mentally where you can't take another trade. And that's where obviously that fear comes in. So obviously when you're trying to get your mind situated where when you trade a good trade, just you're happy, but you're still neutral, you're still calm, you still just sit back, relax, make your money. When you're losing a trade, you should still be in the same way. You should still be sitting back and relaxed and trying to focus on, okay, well, this is the reason why I took the trade. Is it still a valid reason for taking the trade? Is it still a valid reason for being in this trade? Have this trade broken any areas of support or resistance, obviously, if you're short in, or trend lines? Is this trade telling me to get out? And if it is, and I'm still in it, why am I in it? So you still have to be sitting here in a neutral zone trying to figure out for yourself and obviously for your account why are you still in the trade. So you got to be neutral when you're doing this, and you got to tell your mind that we have to be neutral no matter if it's a bad trade or a good trade. Some people, and I give you a little, I don't know, a little example or a tidbit. Some people take a trade and they go, I'm taking the trade because okay, let's use this TOS chart. I'm really not good at the TOS charting, but whatever, I have it up anyways. Okay. So, oh my God, you see, I told you I'm not that good at it. That trend line. Okay. Trend line from there to there as your top, and trend line from here to here as your base. Okay. So a person would say, well, if I'm going short, I want to stop here, right? So right over. So now your price is obviously over, but yet you haven't exited the trade. So now you're getting into, well, this was the point here where you should have actually stopped out of the trade. The trade's actually over it now, and you're still in the trade for some reason on the short side. So you have to ask yourself now, why are you here? Why are you putting yourself in a negative situation? Not financially negative, not a negative trade, in a negative mental situation. Because remember, every bad trade that goes bad, um, it it does a few things. It obviously fails. It fails the setup, first of all, obviously, technically or whatever. It fails the setup. That's what happens. But what does it do to your mind? It breaks you down. It breaks you down just a little bit where now you're afraid to take back that same trade if it gave you the same opportunity again. So you're basically losing two things at one time. You're losing the trade, which is okay if it was a good setup. If you took the trade short here, seeing the quick rejection here, and you took it short here, anticipating that this line wasn't going to break, you took the trade short here. It's a perfect setup for a short. If it goes over and now you're carrying over this short here, you're losing two things at the same time. You're losing the trade, which is okay, but what you're losing that's more valuable than just a few dollars that you're losing here, you're losing your focus, you're losing your game, you're losing your mind, basically, and you're giving away something that you cannot get back on another trade right away. You're losing something that you cannot just gain back. It's gonna take now with this one trade that goes bad against you, should have been stopped out, whatever. So you're not you lost money if you did it the first way. The second way is now you're losing money, you're losing focus, you're getting angry, you're thinking to yourself, should I add? You forgot completely why you got into the trade in the first place. Now, so while you're losing two things at the same time, now it takes you one trade to make a to lose all of that, and I gotta tell you that one trade right there is probably gonna take you four or five other trades to get your confidence level back. Because say you were taking this short here, say you had a decent size, say you did 1,000 shares right here. I don't care what the price is, just doing the chart and for purpose sake here. If you did 1,000 shares here now and you lost $1,000, you're done with this trade here. Fine, you took a big loss. Now you're crying, you're angry, you went outside, you're hitting things. But what this does is now your next five trades that you take, you're probably taking 200 shares, 100 shares. Why? Because you've just lost two things in one trade. You've lost money, but you've lost your self-control. And so that's obviously something that people probably don't even see when they're taking the trades, how much it affects your mind, and not just for this one trade, but for the other five trades that come after it. Um, Okay, so in your mindset, in training, in trying to control your mind, um, you have to you have to picture what you want. I'm not saying to go out there and I'm not saying to go out there and picture Ferraris and yachts and big houses. I'm saying picture what you want as far as if I saw this trade setting up here, I decided to take this short. What are you picturing in your head that what you want? You're expecting the chart to hit over here where it should resistance. You're expecting it to come down here and you're expecting to add over here and cover over here. So this is what you should be picturing in your mind. Now, if your picture is not reflected in your trade, then that's obviously telling you you should be out of the trade. If it's not working to the way that you should see it. I mean, if you're taking a trade like this, not only should you be seeing where the resistances are, all this stuff on the upside, you should be seeing where your ads are and where your possible exits are already. So obviously you're seeing this here as your double top, your resistance lines. You're seeing this area here as your only up support, so that's your ad right there. And you're seeing this area here for a double bottom as your possible exit. And so you should see, a couple things in this trade here. So this right here should be a little mindset camera, like, a picture of what it should look like. When this happens here, and the chart obviously doesn't reflect what you thought it should reflect, then that picture is obviously gone, and you should be out of the trade instantly, because you know now that what you imagined in your head to happen isn't happening. So not for the fact that how much money you losing, but the fact that it isn't working the way that that picture in your head should have worked. That should give you a reason to get out of the trade. Okay, what you want to do is um you want to make the unfamiliar things familiar in your life. What I'm saying is, like, you want to make getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning and sitting at your desk. That's an unfamiliar thing for you. You want to make it familiar in your life. An unfamiliar thing to you is maybe looking over the charts that not only that you did, maybe you can just scan for percentage gainers, dollar gainers, volume gainers, breaking over resistance areas, stuff like that. So you want to make unfamiliar things familiar in your life. Um, you wanna make things that you don't normally do part of your trading routine. Where if you say, well, you know what, every time I get into a bad trade and I lose money, I'm gonna run outside and scream. I'm gonna yell at the dog, or I don't know, throw something at the wall or something. If that's something that you do that's familiar to you, then you want to make that, you want to get rid of something like that, because obviously if something doesn't grow you anymore, it's something that maybe you should relieve. And if obviously that doesn't really promote your trading anymore, then maybe it's something that you don't need to do anymore. Maybe it's something that you need to find another way of addressing that issue. So remember, stick with the charts. The charts are gonna tell you if you should be in or out and your reasons for it, and your mind. You have to try to teach how to address these issues when they come up. You have to be able to say, "Hey, this isn't working, and I'm gonna take the loss, but I understand why I'm taking the loss. But even when I take a loss on the trade, my mindset is going to be okay where I can jump back into another trade without being totally messed up by this previous trade that I took." So basically, you're not trying to mess up a trade and mess up your mind. You're trying to just, if you have to, obviously just mess up the trade. Because the last thing you want to do is also mess up your mind, which obviously domino effects into messing up today, tomorrow, next week. Next thing you know, you're going through a rough spell. And a couple weeks down the line, you're going through a bad spell, and then it just really kind of domino effects into where you just find yourself taking one trade after the other that is just not working. And then what you do is you keep banging them out and banging them out because the more trades you take, they feel like the better odds you're gonna have. And then so you go from trading bigger, bigger, bigger sizes to going smaller and smaller, smaller sizes with more and more and more trades. And then you keep losing bigger percentages now because instead of taking 5 trades a day, you're taking 10, 15 trades a day, all with small sizes, all with 50 lots or 100 lots because you're like, I gotta get over this. And the more trades you're starting to take, the more they're starting to get red. You went from being 60, 70% profit to can't even make $10 a day, and it really messes with you on the long run. So you want to be able to take one trade at a time, be able to conquer them, and be happy. Put your hands up in the air, shake them like you just don't care. If you're making money, and if you're losing money, you just got to figure out where to cut it. Be done with it. Focus. Move on. Yep, Terry. Just move on, and not damage yourself, because the worst thing you do is damage yourself, right? So every time I just told you I just wrote down stuff, so I'm just gonna kind of read it out and then try to kind of explain it, right? Every time you learn a new trade or a new art, I'm not talking about trade like in trade in. I'm talking about like a new trade like I don't know, learning to play the piano or something, or a new art. You're changing your brain. So reorganization of the brain is not limited by age, and that was for Terry right there, the reorganization of the brain. When I started talking to Terry earlier on when we just became friends, obviously Terry's a old school trader. I was obviously a lot newer into it. I haven't known Terry for that long, but it's been a decent little while, and so he taught me a lot of cool stuff about oil and trading, that sort of stuff. But then I taught him a lot of cool stuff about strategies and about technicals. And so then he said to me, yeah, almost a year. And then he said to me, like I'm teaching him something, and it was really nice for me to hear that from somebody else, honestly, because it's like, I try to portray, I try to share a lot of stuff with a lot of people, but having somebody that's so much more experienced than me tell me that I can teach them something, it's really nice. Like, it's a nice feeling. And I feel like, you can definitely reorganize your brain at any time. A lot of people say that your brain development really kind of slows down when you're a kid, but if you really think about it, honestly, your brain, I mean, it comes down to like neuroplasticity, where your brain is like a pliable plastic where it can basically be molded, right? So um, you can mold your brain into what you really want it to be. And sure, like maybe that major brain growth stops when you're obviously younger, but brain development obviously continues for forever, as long as you keep wanting to develop that, as long as you keep reaching for that development, it'll happen. I mean, can you learn to speak a different language later on in your life? Yeah. Can you learn to play the piano later on in your life? Yeah. Is it gonna be the same? Is it gonna be the same rate as somebody else? No. Um, can you learn to play the piano faster than you can learn to, I don't know, scuba dive? The rate of learning one may be longer than the rate of learning another. Even in individuals, as one person, right, you can have two different rates of learning something. Say it takes you 6 months to learn the piano, but it took you a year and a half to scuba dive, which is, obviously weird, but so say that's kind of that in one person you can have two different learning curves. Now, are the things are different? Yeah, sure, but shouldn't you be able to learn them kind of similarly at the same time? Maybe you should, but the learning curve could be different within that person for two separate different things. So like as far as trading, how do I apply that? It can like different like okay, there is no one size fit all for trading. Um, and and obviously shaping your mind to become a better trader is not going to be a one-time thing. You're not just gonna sit here one time and see a couple charts and say, well, okay, well that's a head and shoulder and that's a trend line. If that breaks, I go long. Well, this is pretty simple. Let me just do this for a job. That's not how it's gonna work, right? Obviously, we all know this. So it's not going to be a one-time intervention. You're not gonna, hey, what's up, Manny? You're not gonna just suddenly see a chart and become a trader. It's just not gonna work like that. So what you are gonna be doing though is you're gonna be molding yourself, molding your mind to see different things and to understand different things. There are a lot of technical strategies that do not pan out. So what do you do then? What do you do when a trend line doesn't hold or a head and shoulder breaks out or a double bottom doesn't hold? Then what do you do then? You have to adjust. You have to evolve. You have to learn to adapt to the situations. So in oh, that was gold or oil or something doing something. Crude just popped, by the way. Um, so you have to be able to adapt and you have to be able to remold the way that you do things, the way that you see things, the way that you react to things. And not every trader is gonna have the same learning curve. Some traders may be better at simple strategies like my 813 strategy. Some people are gonna have simpler learning curves where they are better with drawing technical lines. They may be able to see a pattern quicker than a lot of other traders. Some people may be great at learning candlesticks and they may just trade off of those. Some people may learn L2s. They may want to trade off the wires. They may want to trade off just volume. So it's just basically a lot of different people are gonna have different ways of learning these things. Is there any one great, specific, perfect way of trading? No. Do I have a perfect way of trading? No. But what I've done it for myself, and I mean, like, I'm gonna take this trading career very, very, very far. But what I've done is I've incorporated a lot of different things that I like in all aspects of it. So I'm not a specific like I wouldn't say I'm a pretty good chart reader, but I wouldn't say that that's my only strength because there's a lot of other things that I like doing too. And so what I've incorporated is just a lot of different things that's gonna try to make me a better trader all around. So that when one something fails, I can see something else. When a lot of people are looking at a trend and they're seeing something that's going up and I'm seeing candlesticks that are reading differently, they go, wow, I didn't see that. Or when I see a head and shoulder and they're thinking, well, this is going up and I'm showing them a head and shoulder and they go, wow, I didn't see that. A head and shoulder from 5 days ago. A lot of people don't see that. So it's basically, you have to be able to see and to um, to adapt to different things because obviously there isn't one way to do it. So there is no one size fit all in trading. It can be, everybody can tell you, hey, my way's the best, or my way's the best, or my way's the best. Go online and just Google search for trade-in strategies, or trade-in DVDs, and see how many best trade-in strategies there are out there. There's a lot, and if you were stuck in buying DVDs for the rest of your life, you'd be stuck with a closet full of them, because they have an assortment, different colors, different cool names, guys in choppers and on their yachts. There's a lot of different stuff out there. So if you like the pictures, you can go right ahead. But everybody's strategy is not going to be your strategy. There are people that would go to an event. Okay, okay, let's do it a lot simpler. What about people that stay up late at night and end up buying a whole bunch of crap on these infomercials, those TV commercial things, um, because it looks so cool, right? Like that mop that picks up everything, or like that duster could reach 50 feet in the air. Like, so there's people that would think that everything's fascinating, and so everything that's glittering is gold, basically, right? So there are traders like that too, where they see one person drew a line on a chart and it worked out great for them, and they go, oh my god, that's the gold, that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Or they see one candlestick readout that worked perfectly, and they go, oh well, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. So there are traders that are going to be forever, they're just going to be followers, and you have to understand that that's how other traders get paid. When there isn't a 90% failure here for nothing. Trading's a really difficult thing, so you want to be able to adjust to that and train your mind first, so that you can keep your capital in your pocket, and you're not ending up being one of those 90%. I mean, there's the I mean, who am I speaking to here? The percentage of people here compared to obviously the percentage of people. And I'm not talking about here, I'm talking about even people that are here live and people that may even see this video. The percentage of people that are out there that are gonna see this, and maybe if it helps them to not become one of the statistics out there. Maybe it can help one or two people. Maybe people from in this webinar, or in people that know me personally and that have traded with me, and that maybe follow some of my crap. Maybe they won't be in that 90 percentile. And I don't want you guys to be there. That's why you're here. You're here so that you can try to not be there, because it's easy to get into this to get into losing money. It's easy. It's so easier to lose money than it is to make money in this business. For every bad trade that you've taken, what if you just flipped it? Instead of thinking, hey, I'm gonna go long here at the high of day, why don't you just flip it and go short? Instead of trying to catch that bottom, why didn't you just do something else with it? So there's a lot of trades that you'd look back on and go, well, if I had just went the opposite way, I would have made $10,000 instead of losing $10,000. So you have to be able to understand that, grasp that, focus on the fact that you made that mistake, and be able to change it before it gets too late, right? So, um, da, 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 nothing is okay. And oh, I just have this written down. I don't know for what, but nothing is more effective than practicing. Um, Practicing is really gonna it's gonna change everything. Nothing is better than practicing, and by practicing, I don't mean a paper account. Paper account is nice if you want to practice putting an entry in. It's nice if you want to practice drawing some lines. It's nice if you want to practice maybe watching some stuff. Let me tell you what paper trading account does not help you do. It does not help you build confidence. It gives you fake hope. It gives you a lot of fake confidence. It gives you balls that you don't need. Um, you it gives you ideas that you can be a big trader. You can make a little paper trading account grow tremendously, just by taking these really trades that a lot of traders won't take. A lot of people that are maybe a little bit more technically sound or a little bit more risk managed won't take, but you'll take it because you're a paper account and you're not afraid of losing $10,000 in your paper account because you just have to reset it. So, but when you make those big wins, when you do have those trades that suddenly you have 40,000 shares in on your paper trading account and you make those big trades, it builds for you false hope. Like it makes you actually lose more money when you come into trading for real because you're trying to take that mentality and throw it right into your real account, and that's where you're going to lose most of your money because it's not really gonna work like that. And then the first couple losses that you take, you're gonna hurt yourself really bad, and you're not gonna be able to get over it. And then if you go from paper trading account to real account back to paper trading account, there's something there that happens in your mind that I don't know if a lot of people can get over. And I'll be honest when I say it, when you once you go real money, don't go back because there's something there that happens that doesn't allow you mentally to get over the hurdle of coming back to real money, then losing it and going back to paper money. Because what's gonna happen is you're gonna gain confidence in the paper. You're gonna lose it back on real trades with the real money. Once you go back to paper, you're gonna build even more fake confidence. You're not gonna build you're not gonna build strength. You're gonna actually just build false hope, and having that false hope is really going to can get it impossible fills. Yeah, well, the fills on paper trading accounts they're incredible. When I first started with the paper account, I remember one time I got filled like such a weird number from where I wanted to get filled. I actually made a crap load on a paper trading thing, and I was like, well, I'll take that, sure. I mean, that will never happen in real. It should have actually been a red trade or something, but it ended up filling me in a whole different spot, and you end up making money. And what do you do in your paper trading account? You go, oh, well, that was a great trading day. I just made a lot of money. But in your real account, would you have allowed it to go so far? Probably not. So would you have given it that kind of range? Would you allow it to sit there with a certain amount of money in the red? Probably not. So for me, like the paper trading account gives you false hope, and I don't like that. I don't like that feeling. Um, did your paper account help to use what my paper trading account did at the very very beginning? I used to do it on the Scottrade. I think one of my very very early videos I showed a virtual reality clip of my Scottrade, and what it did, when I just did that because I actually didn't want to show my actual account, but what it did is it helps me to fill orders properly. And I'm not talking about filling and getting filled into the trade. I'm talking about being able to see something and get a window open fast enough. So what I did, I used it to more like practice on my speed rather than practice on the trade itself. I did it more like to say, well, I gotta be quicker at it, or I gotta be able to fill this what form is, whatever that form is. It's got to be able to be filled quicker. So I used it for that, more like to practice my speed, not really to practice anything else. And I did use it a lot, obviously, to draw charts. And I would put up charts, I would take snapshots of it. I wouldn't actually put money into it, paper trading money, because what was the difference anyways? If I made $1 million paper trading or if I made $0 paper trading, it didn't make a difference anyways. So what I would do is I would actually draw like the formations where I think that it should be at, and I do it similarly now where I use my arrows to show you guys where the entries, stops, ads should be. And so I used to do something similar to that, and then I'd take a snip of it and I'd keep it and then I'd review it later on. or at the beginning of the week if I wanted to do swing trading on the paper, what I'd do is I'd take a picture of it basically with my entry, my stop, and then I'd put a notation as to why I took it, and then I'd leave it just like that for 5 days. I wouldn't look at it for 5 days, and then on the fifth day, like on Friday, I'd go over all of them, and I'd see how many of them worked and how many of them obviously didn't work. So that was the way I learned to use the paper trading account. Not really necessarily to see any gains go up because they're all fake gains anyways, and it'll give you a lot of false hope because that's how a lot of traders end up coming into real money, and they end up losing a lot of real money because of the false hope that paper trading account gives you. So obviously there's nothing more effective than practicing and just practice and practice and practice, and you can practice with small share size that gives you an advantage over losing a lot of money right off the bat. Obviously, what practicing is supposed to do with real money is supposed to actually help you to understand how it feels to make real money. What the practicing with small size is supposed to do is supposed to build your confidence. It's sorry. It's supposed to build your confidence. It's supposed to enable you to take trades with real money, getting real fills, getting real sells, getting real stops in, having a real portrayal of a real trade without having the lag or the delay of a paper trading account. So what you're gonna have is you're gonna have yourself acting into a real trade with real money. The paper trading account isn't gonna provide that for you. The real money account is gonna provide that for you. It is gonna bill you differently than a paper trading does. It will it will allow you to feel making real money, even if it's in a very small percentage amount. It's gonna make you understand what real money feels like. And your small account or your real account, even though you're playing very small size, it's gonna have a better feeling for you if you make smaller goals consistently than if you make paper money all day long. Cause I could make $1 million in a week with a paper account. I just have to do like 100,000 share lots and reset it every night if I blow up, right? And then obviously out of those 5 days, I'm gonna hit one big one. I'm gonna make $1 million in 1 week. Um, when I was struggling, what wasn't working? Poor discipline, wrong strategy, ability to read charts, all of the above. When I was struggling, okay, let me just finish with this, Jamie, and then I'm just gonna jump into that for you, right? I don't think I have much stuff. Repeat behaviors are helpful for your development. The best strategies will vary for each person. So repeat behaviors that are helpful for your development. Okay, and it kind of runs into that other one where I said, if something isn't growing you, then you should dump it. So repeat behaviors that are helpful for your development. So if something is if you see something that's working for you, stick with it. If you have an 8-13 strategy, if you love it, if you like it, if you kind of like it, maybe it's something that works for you. You can repeat those behaviors. If you find that, hey, I like playing gap up, gap downs based on a certain strategic reasoning, play those. So you're going to repeat the behaviors that are most developmental to you. You need to be able to um, you need to be able to harness that energy that you can put into trades. So what's the purpose of saying, hey, I want to learn candlesticks, I want to learn L2, I want to learn chart readings, I want to learn moving averages, I want to learn how to read news, I want to learn how to read cues. What's that gonna help you after a while when you tried to learn all. So basically, you're trying to, it's like that I don't know, that Aesop fable with the dog and the bone. It's kind of like that where you're trying to just be greedy and not be greedy with the money. You're trying to be greedy with the knowledge that's out there. if you think that this is like something that we've just developed, you should really start looking into other stuff because we're not the first people that looked into moving average strategies. We're not the first person that started, watching candlesticks. I mean, this is a Japanese rice traders started candlesticks way back in the days. This isn't something that's new to anybody. It's new to us as new traders. We're relatively new. It's new to us as newer traders. But is it new in general? You talk to a really experienced older trader, maybe not even somebody like Terry's experienced, maybe somebody's a lot more experienced than that, and they'll go, "What are you using a moving average strategy? Come on, we've used that so many years ago." So it's you're gonna say, "Oh, I have this great strategy, nobody has it." What is it? It's an 813 strategy. Oh, well, we just used the 20 and the 30, but it's the same strategy. So this is nothing new. This is not this is not like I just saw charts and I started to bring up my own crazy holy grail stuff. It's just something that works for me. It's something that developed my trading. It's something that I've plugged in a lot of other, moving averages, and I've come up with something that works for me. Does it work for you? Is it a 813 SMA that you feel is more comfortable for you? Is it a 913? Is it a 1013? It doesn't really matter. As long as you find yourself in a strategy that's going to keep you in the game long enough, that's what really matters. And as long as you can harness that energy to find something that keeps you in the game, you can harness your mind to keep you in your trades long enough to make real money or to get you out of bad trades fast enough to keep your money. And as long as you can tell your mind, hey, win or lose, we're gonna accept the things that we can't change here, and we're gonna try to make the best of the things that we can change. You can't change things like the market itself, but you can change how your trades react to the market. You can change where you enter a trade, why you enter a trade, where you exited a trade, and why you exited that trade. You can change those things, but you can't change the market. So use the market as your guideline basically, but you have to work around that to make things work. So if you're going to be taking trades and blaming the market for everything, then it's not gonna work out, and you're not training your mind the proper way to to um to overcome all of these elements. Because there's one thing that you cannot change, and that's the market. So what you have to do is you have to understand that that's the one factor that's not going to change. So if that's not going to change, why are you trying to change it? Why are you trying to force change it? Why are you trying to foresee things? Why are you being biased? Why are you being um, bull-minded or bear-minded? Why are you being a certain way? If it's something that you cannot change, then why are you trying to change it? So everybody comes around and they go, well, I want this to do that. I want this to do that. Um, I need a certain stock to go a certain way. They had good data, it should go a certain way. They had great earnings, it should go a certain way. You have to understand that there are certain things that you have no control of. What you do have control of are your entries, your size, your position, your risk management, your stops. All these things are within your control. So figure out how that's gonna play out with a factor that you cannot change. Okay? And that's pretty much all I got on this therapy session for now. Obviously, there's a lot more stuff about mind control, but what I really do think that you guys can look into if you really want to get more into it, because I'm getting into it. I've been watching more and more stuff, and I'm really trying to get into controlling that. And I think once I put all of these things together in a complete package, it's gonna be insane. So like I'm ready to step it up to a whole different level here. And when I get to that level, it's gonna be like the Matrix. I mean, it's gonna be Neo status. So I'm gonna get there. but I'm gonna just put all the little pieces together. But this is something that you know, if you guys want to talk about it or ask me anything else, I can always email you some stuff. I don't have a lot of stuff written down, but I can just like send you to at least like the right direction. So I'm gonna stop recording now first. Thank you all for coming.